Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
Tonight, breaking news on several stories. New York's Attorney General indicted tonight by the Justice Department. Also just in, U.S. troops will be sent to Israel now to help monitor the Gaza ceasefire deal. And the nor'easter building off the East Coast tonight. First, just a short time ago, New York's Attorney General Letitia James, one of President Trump's fiercest opponents, indicted. Just weeks after former FBI Director James Comey was indicted, and after the president publicly called on his Attorney General to take action, singling out Comey and Letitia James by name. Also just in tonight, the U.S.-led peace plan agreed to by Israel and Hamas. The celebrations in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. Families waiting for 2 years, reacting to the news that the hostages couldn't be released by early next week. In Gaza tonight, children cheering with excitement. And this evening, the U.S. now saying it will send hundreds of troops to Israel to monitor that ceasefire. Here at home, tracking what could be the first nor'easter of the season, threatening the East Coast with damaging winds and potential flash flooding. The Carolinas right up into the Northeast from New York up to Boston. Lee Goldberg standing by with the forecast. Tonight, the government shut down Day 9. House Speaker Mike Johnson confronted on live TV by a woman saying she's the wife of a military service member who isn't getting paid. You will hear the moment and how the speaker responds. Two high-stakes legal showdowns tonight challenging President Trump's authority to deploy National Guard troops into American cities, Chicago and Portland. Tonight, 500 troops now on the ground in the Chicago area. This evening, the case making national headlines. The mother accused of trying to poison the father of her child, what she allegedly poured into his wine, and what she now claims. The images coming in, the armed standoff, 2 officers shot and wounded. Look at this tonight, a young child running on the interstate at night, nearly struck by an SUV. What an officer did to save this child. And this question tonight, if you drove past this home, would you call the fire department? That's the question the whole town is asking. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York. Trump's peace plan a go. Michelle, big news. Trump announced that Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a peace plan ending 2 years of war following the October 7th attacks. They're going to release all 48 hostages held by Hamas, and then we're going to give up. I always wonder, why is it not 1-to-1? It's like the Palestinians assume that one Israelis work 4 Palestinians. That's kind of an insult.
Yeah, it kind of is. I don't have an answer to that, but what I will say is this: I saw a talking head on another network today say, "Well, are we worried now that Trump is going to expect the Nobel Peace Prize? Are we concerned about that? Well, who the hell cares?
Yeah.
I mean, even if he wants it, I'll just put it in these terms: Tom Brady wanted Super Bowls. Tiger Woods wanted to win majors. There's all giving us a prize, but here's the thing: people love to hate on success and winners. All the golfers hate Tiger Woods. They hate the New York Yankees, and they're going to hold it against him that he did something that so many other people could not do to help them.
I run into this all the time. People hate for my success.
Yes. So you got my email.
Yeah.
Well, the Nobel Peace Prize, it ain't. I mean, maybe he'll get it, maybe he won't get it. Does he deserve it? Going on, yeah.
What do the protests do now? Like David and George Floyd and this.
They'll find them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will.
Should they
find
protest
them.
you?
I would honestly attention. Right? For me. All for we had a huge protest Trump is in the US brokering a deal between Israel still pressure on elderly Canadians detained on a Gaza aid flotilla. We need to fear their safety.
It takes everybody every day.
The Blue Jays game plan that's led to success. Both Palestinians and Israel longed for this moment. Israelis, haunted by the worst terrorist attack on their country, now rejoicing that the last of the hostages taken by Hamas held in peace. Just 67,000 Palestinians incessant and misplaced. Israel's around the world who rallied behind Palestinians to the accusations Israel has committed genocide, but it was pressure from the American president that led to this breakthrough. Today, Donald Trump did acknowledge mediators from other countries who he says worked tirelessly.
So I want to express my tremendous gratitude to the leaders of Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey for helping us reach this incredible day, and the whole world has come together for this. People that didn't get along, people that didn't like each other, neighboring countries that friendly each other, but now it's just a moment in time.
The first phase includes the suspension of Israel. About 50% of Gaza. 50 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jail, 17 detained worked humanitarian aid in Gaza. Tonight, Israel and first of the deal, but many details have yet to be agreed upon. Jackson Hello, a very good 6 o'clock on the show today. Israeli strikes in Gaza continue ahead of a ceasefire expected later today. England being Wales regional head coach Tuchel criticises the home fans for being too quiet. It's Friday, the 10th of October. Israel ratifies the Gaza peace deal with the ceasefire expected to start within 24 hours.
We couldn't have achieved without the extraordinary help President of Palestine, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner.
I think it's going to be a lasting peace, hopefully an everlasting peace. Peace in the Middle East.
A magnitude 7.6 earthquake shakes the southern Philippines. Plus. Okay.
Sorry, I just can't ask you questions. I know.
Conversation. Securing bring a World Cup place with 3-1 win over Greece.
Hello, very good morning. Thanks for joining us here today. Now, late last night, the Israeli cabinet ratified the Gaza peace deal. It means a ceasefire will begin within 24 hours, likely this evening. At that point, a period of 72 hours begins, during which all hostages, living and dead, will be returned to Israel. Following the ratification and flanked by President Trump's peace envoys, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to the media.
Tremendous development in the last 2 years. We fought during these 2 years to achieve our warriors. The central one of these warriors is to hostages, all of the hostages living in the world. And we're about to achieve that. We couldn't have achieved it without the extraordinary help of President Trump and his team, Steve Nicol, Jared Kushner. They worked tirelessly with Ron and his team, our team. That and the courage of our soldiers who entered Gaza and the combined military and diplomatic pressure that isolated
This is DW News, and these are our top stories. Israel's government has approved the first phase of a ceasefire and hostage deal for Gaza after several hours of delay, paving the way for a ceasefire within 24 hours. Earlier, negotiators in Egypt signed off on the agreement, which is based on a framework laid out by Donald Trump. The announcement of the probable deal was met with jubilation by people on both sides of the conflict. The agreement would allow for relieving hostages to be released by Hamas and would open Gaza's borders for the delivery of much-needed humanitarian aid. And as hopes were at the end of 2 years of war in Gaza, the President was Paris, the future of the territory. Ministers from several Eastern European nations attended with the aim of helping a post-war Gaza to rebuild and prosper. McCall says France is ready to join allies in any future peace deal. This is DW News from Berlin, and remember you can find much more news on our website. That's dw.com.
Is the impact of the economy on our lives. Presented by Kate Moody, People and Profit, on France 24 and France24.com.
Hello and welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. You're watching Daybreak here on 24. Our headlines this morning. In Israel and Gaza, as Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet ratifies the first phase of a ceasefire agreement with Hamas, the countdown now begins for Israeli troops to pull back before Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners are released in the coming days. We'll get the latest from Jerusalem with our correspondent Noga Tarnopolsky. Peruvian President Dina Boluarte is summoned to Congress for an impeachment trial. Lawmakers voted to begin the process to remove her from office, accusing her of failing to stem crime just hours after a shooting at a concert in the Peruvian capital. And France awaits the naming of yet another new prime minister, with an announcement due to be made this Friday. The resignation of Sébastien Lecornu earlier this week threw the country further into political chaos. It faces a deadline to pass a new budget.
Podcast on ABC iView and ABC Listen.
Today, the Israeli government approves the first phase of the Gaza peace plan. The ceasefire is due to come into effect within 24 hours. 2 dead and thousands without power as wild winds hit Tasmania. A tsunami warning issued following a magnitude 7.6 earthquake off the Philippines. And Sam Kerr named in the Matilda squad for the first time in nearly 2 years after a lengthy injury layoff. Well, welcome to to ABC News, I'm Ross Childs. Israel's cabinet has approved a framework for the release of Gaza hostages. Hamas leaders had already accepted the deal during negotiations in Egypt, saying the United States has promised it will lead to the end of the war. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office says cabinet approved the outline of a deal to release hostages held by Hamas. The agreement on the initial phase of the peace plan will see Hamas release hostages in the coming days in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Celebrations across Gaza and Israel have taken place as people eagerly await the return of loved ones and a stop to the killing. A ceasefire will come into effect in the next 24 hours, by which time the Israeli military would have completed a partial withdrawal within Gaza. The US is set to send about 200 troops to Israel to monitor the progression of the deal. Prime Minister Netanyahu says the deal contains everything Israel needs.
This is Asia Now.
Hello there, good afternoon. It is 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 a.m. in New Delhi, 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Yasmin Yonkers, and at this hour, Philippine officials issue tsunami warning, saying there could be life-threatening waves after a 7.4 magnitude quake struck off the coast of its second-largest island, Mindanao. Israel approves the first phase of a U.S.-brokered peace deal with Hamas, paving the way for a ceasefire soon. It'll be followed by a partial troop withdrawal and the release of hostages. Plus, Taiwan celebrates Double 10 Day as President William Lai announces plans to build an air defense system. He lays out a vision of peace amid heightened tensions with mainland China.
Africa News. The news.
Approximately 1,000 demonstrators gathered in Madagascar's capital on Thursday after rejecting the president's offer for dialogue and engaging in confrontation with police who deployed tear gas and stun grenades to disperse them in various areas of the city. This violence signifies the third week of the most notable unrest the Indian Ocean island nation has experienced in years. I am here to support this strike, to demand our rights, because here in Madagascar, nothing is going well. Initially, we were demanding water and electricity, but in fact, the entire system in Madagascar is failing. In fact, we are also demanding that human rights, which are also trampled upon, be respected, because there are no rights left. The law enforcement who are supposed to protect us actually kill us when we demand our rights. Initially ignited by water and electricity shortages, the protests quickly broadened to encompass grievances regarding allegations of corruption and nepotism. Whatever we are asking of the president is for him to go. Whatever our idea as Malagasy people, we will win. We have wealth, let us go forward and let us protest. With the president's concession failing to appease protesters, the demand in Madagascar has now escalated from a changed government to a change in leadership itself.
Opposition leader Anissé Georges Delogolé has entered the presidential race in Central African Republic. His party, the Union for Central African Renewal, or URCA, nominated him on Wednesday at an extraordinary congress in Bangui. That's despite the opposition coalition BRDC, of which URCA is a member, saying it would boycott the December vote. Delogolé said he accepted the nomination because he knows he can win, therefore has a responsibility to the citizens who want their lives to change. But following the announcement of Delogolé's nomination, the BRDC said it was excluding URCA from the coalition. To date, 6 candidates, including incumbent Faustin Archange Touadéra, have officially submitted their applications. The deadline for submissions is Saturday. Plumes of smoke rose across parts of the Gaza Strip on Thursday as Israel and Hamas agreed to the first phase of a US proposed peace plan. The new deal would see Hamas free the remaining hostages in exchange for the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Israeli troops would also start a partial pullback from Gaza. Even before the deal has been ratified by the Israeli parliament, celebrations got underway in the Gaza Strip as the
Breaking news tonight, one of President Trump's biggest critics indicted just weeks after the president publicly called for her prosecution. New York's Attorney General Letitia James indicted by a grand jury for bank fraud and false statements. The president had pushed his Attorney General to charge her after James won a judgment against him for hundreds of millions of dollars. Tonight, her vow to fight in court. Plus, the historic breakthrough in the Middle East, celebrations across Israel today and in Gaza. The moment the families of hostages spoke to President Trump on the phone. His plans to go to the region within days to see the deal through. And this just in, the U.S. military preparing to send as many as 200 troops to Israel. The government shut down, military families outraged, saying they defend our freedom, but the shutdown will stop their paychecks. The Speaker of the House confronted by a military wife. What he told me today about his message to military families, as Senator Schumer explains what he meant by saying every day gets better for Democrats in the shutdown. Also tonight, the Texas man on death row given a surprise reprieve just days before he was set to die. Lester Holt is here, his new reporting that the man's lawyers used to make their case. A wife's alleged murder plot in court today, accused of trying to kill her husband by pouring a poison found in antifreeze into his wine. The TikTok pranks going way too far. Teens across the country sending pictures to their parents showing fake AI-generated intruders. Those parents then flooding 911 centers, the warning from police tonight. And there's good news, the little heroes on the gridiron, why the play was so much more than just a touchdown. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
Good evening, I'm Amna Navaz.
And I'm Jeff Bennett. On the News Hour tonight, hopes for a lasting peace. Israel and Hamas work to implement the first phase of the ceasefire deal.
In the U.S., a deal to end the government shutdown remains elusive. We speak with Senate Majority Leader John Thune about the stalemate.
It's going to take Democrats to open up the government. And I've said, give us the votes to open up the government, then we'll have a conversation about some of these issues that you want to discuss.
And ICE escalates immigration raids in Chicago as the Trump administration moves to deploy the National Guard.
They knocked down every door and took almost every person in that building, regardless of citizenship status. There were children, there were mothers, all were taken.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. President Trump says Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a Gaza ceasefire deal. Trump announced the breakthrough in a post to his social media site, Truth Social, Wednesday, writing, quote, "All the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel withdraws their troops to an agreed-upon line," unquote. Details of the first phase have not yet been officially released. The Israeli government's meeting this afternoon to formally vote on the ceasefire deal. Far-right ministers, including Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir, say they will not vote in favor of the plan, but have withdrawn threats to withdraw from Netanyahu's coalition government, bringing it down. If Israel's security cabinet approves the ceasefire, it's expected it will go into effect immediately. In the meantime, Israel's continuing its attacks on Gaza. The Palestinian Health Ministry says Israeli strikes over the past 24 hours have killed 10 people, including 2 people seeking food, while injuring nearly 50 others. Despite the continuing assault, Palestinians across Gaza erupted in celebrations overnight as news of a ceasefire deal spread by word of mouth due to an internet and communications blackout.
I don't have a spoon nor a fork in my house. It's
celebrating in Gaza and in Israel as hopes brighten for an end to the war and the return of hostages.
They should be released on Monday or Tuesday.
also tonight. She won a civil fraud case against Donald Trump. Now New York's Attorney General has been indicted on federal criminal charges.
We'll fight these baseless charges aggressively.
The East Coast races for a potentially dangerous nor'easter.
It is time for our conclave to begin.
And a papal pretender meets the real-life pontiff.
We just met the Pope. Like, what?
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, I'm John Dickerson.
I'm Maurice Dubois.
It appears tonight
implied that we may be heading to an end of the Gaza war, now in its third year. But despite the celebrations you saw in Hostage Square at the top of the broadcast, there is still a long way to go, with potential obstacles along the way.
Still, Israel and Hamas have taken the first big step. They signed an agreement today for a ceasefire and an exchange of Israeli hostages for Palestinian prisoners.
President Trump, whose peace plan this is, said today the exchange will happen early next week, and he will be there. He is also sending about 200 U.S. troops to Israel.
And Israeli forces are soon to begin a partial withdrawal from Gaza. Deborah Patta in East Jerusalem has been covering the war since it began. She reports now on what could be the beginning of the end. Deborah?
A very good evening. Well, the Israeli government has now approved that deal, which means a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas.
Thank you for watching Amish Shakil 5858. I am Amish Shakil. I hope you will visit again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.